Hey guys, today we're going to be doing what if Piccolo fused in the Saiyan saga. So, Piccolo fusing in the Saiyan saga specifically, and not earlier than the Saiyan saga, like in between the end of Dragon Ball and the start of Dragon Ball Z, because I don't think it would really make sense for him to fuse back with Kami so soon. And so, I picked the Saiyan saga specifically because or when else would he be able to fuse with Kami, and it would make the most sense that wouldn't be when he actually did in canon earlier than that. So I thought, okay, the Saiyan saga makes the most sense. So that's why it's in the Saiyan saga where he fuses with Kami. So he fuses with him because of, well, he's accomplished all of his goals, right? He's killed Goku, and so can he's killed Goku. He's kidnapped his son so he can train him for his nefarious goals to like take over the world and everything. And he's training because he knows Saiyans are coming to kill everybody and stuff. And he wants to take over the world, so he's not gonna let that happen. But him training Gohan, he's seeing that it's not having a huge amount of progress. He's not getting that much stronger. And Gohan, being inquisitive, he probably asks him a lot about, Piccolo, do you have any family? And Piccolo's like, sort of. Because he's sort of Kami, but he's also sort of like Kami's sort of like his brother slash uncle in a way. So he's sort of the same person as well. It's weird. But basically, he's thinking about this, and Kami realizes this, and he's saying, okay, there seems to be a slight change in how Piccolo is kind of his mindset since he's accomplished all his goal of killing Goku, and he's kidnapped his son. So he's accomplished a few of his goals besides, actually taking over the world. That's all that's left. And he can't do that if there's Saiyans coming. And so, and he can see Piccolo's getting slightly attached to Gohan. And this is like, okay, Piccolo's not as evil anymore. And so, eventually, Piccolo, when the Saiyans actually first come, Vegeta and Nappa, and they destroy a whole city just easily. When Kami senses this, he gets really worried, and when Piccolo senses this, he gets he's kind of worried as well, very worried because they're trying to destroy his world basically that he wants to take over potentially. So he rushes over to Kami, and this is this isn't something Piccolo would usually think of, right? But because he hated Kami, but he at this point sees how strong the Saiyans are, and this is basically the only way he can think of actually beating them is fusing with Kami. So he goes up to the lookout. He has to argue basically with Kami for a little while, but Kami sees, okay, a bunch of Earthlings are dying, and if I don't do anything about this, then why am I even Guardian? So he decides, okay, I'm gonna fuse with Piccolo. It's like how the fusion was earlier, Piccolo's body, and he's kind of in control, but there's Kami's like in the background. So he's like got all the smarts and wisdom of Kami, but he's the body of Piccolo. And so he goes, he takes down. I'd say at this point he's definitely stronger than Nappa, but he's maybe not as strong as you know um Vegeta. He's not maybe not as strong as him, or maybe like a bit weaker. I'd say he's a bit weaker than Vegeta. So he's like slightly weaker than Goku is by the time he gets back and fights Vegeta. He's slightly weaker than that. So Piccolo, he defeats Nappa really quick. He defeats all the Cybermen, which means none of the other Z fighters actually have to die. So Yamcha, Tien, Chaozu, they're all still alive. And obviously Piccolo is. So he kills Nappa, or he just beats up Nappa and Vegeta kills Nappa. Either or, Nappa dies anyways, like in canon. And so by the time he's done with all that, Goku comes in and has his regular fight with Vegeta, and it kind of goes as normal because Goku doesn't want the help of everybody else like before. He just kind of wants to take down Vegeta. And so that whole fight goes pretty much the same. Vegeta escapes. You might be thinking, well, how would Piccolo let this happen? Well, Kami would probably agree with Goku, thinking, okay, Goku says he can leave. I trust Goku's choices. And so that still happens. Now, you might be thinking, why would there be a reason for them to go to Namek? Because, well, none of the Z fighters are dead. Yes, there would be, since, Piccolo and Kami fusing, that makes the Dragon Balls not functional, since technically Kami isn't a thing anymore. So Dragon Balls aren't functional, so they have to go to Namek to actually, try and get the Dragon Balls functional again with the Namekian Dragon Balls. They're looking for answers to try and figure out a way to do that. And Popo says, "Okay, you can go to Namek," and he finds a spaceship. I don't think that Tien and Chaozu and Yamcha would go, because it doesn't seem like there's enough space in that space pod for all of them. So the initial space pod, Tien, Yamcha, and Chaozu, they wouldn't go. So it'll be Bulma, Krillin, Gohan, and Piccolo going in the first space pod because he wants to learn about his Namekian heritage and also find answers. And so they all go. This means Piccolo would meet Nail earlier than in canon, and everything would kind of go a bit similar. And eventually, Piccolo would meet not Namek. Piccolo would meet Nail again, and he would meet him, when he's basically at his deathbed. He'd fuse with Nail, and Goku would come over to Namek, same as usual. Just he's he's not actually coming with Tien and Yamcha and Chaozu. I don't think that space pod was big enough to fit Tien, Yamcha, Chaozu, and Goku. I think it was built just for Goku, really, for the most part. And I think, with the whole gravity training and everything, Tien, Yamcha, and Chaozu training with Goku might slow him down in terms of gravity training. So I don't think he would take them all with him. So it would be Goku coming over to Namek. The whole fight goes sort of similar. Piccolo, after fusing with Nail and previously fusing with Kami, at this point he'd be, I think, I think he'd easily be able to take down like third form Frieza, but final form Frieza, I think he'd have some difficulty with him because he's not as strong as a Super Saiyan at this point. I don't think. I think he's a bit weaker than like a Super Saiyan Goku. He's like Super Saiyan Goku is, let's say, like a 10 out of 10 power, for example, and Piccolo fused with Kami fused with Nail right now would be like uh 8 or 9 out of 10. So he's weaker than Super Saiyan Goku, but he's not that much weaker. He's able to put up a good fight with Final Form Frieza, but ultimately he gets taken down by Frieza, like he gets knocked out of the fight. All of them get wished back to Earth, except Goku, of course. So that happens kind of like canon. And at that point, everything sort of goes similar or the same with canon because all of the power levels and stuff by the time the Android Saga starts would kind of even out to the canon points of the power level at that point. So everything with the story afterwards really would really go the same pretty much, even though, Piccolo fused early in the Saiyan saga instead of in the Android saga. So in long term, it wouldn't have that much of an impact, but short term, it would change quite a few things about Dragon Ball and the whole story in general. But yeah, after the Namek saga, the story basically goes the exact same as in canon. And so, yeah, this is only one part, guys. So, yeah, bye, guys.